Had a restful weekend. Welcome to the show. This is Your World. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and of course we are officially in the festive season. And of course we all know how that can be sometimes, especially when the children are around, because children have always been a blessing to the family and the society. And now that schools are closed, learners will be on vacation for more than a month. And though a blessing in a time of reunion, reflection, and relaxation for families, the high costs of living and harsh economic realities are forcing many parents to either dig deeper into their pockets or sink further in debt to finance holiday spending habits. So the question that we're asking you today is, what are you doing to keep your child or children engaged this holiday season? Like we said, they will be home for a very long time. So what are you doing to keep, your child or your children engaged this holiday season? Because for so many parents, especially when the schools closed, they were like, hey, a month. What are we going to do with, with this young one? So as a parent, what are you doing to keep your child or your children engaged this holiday season? So that is what we want to find out. And of course, the impact that the long holiday might have on the learner. So you do not want to miss any part of the conversation. Use our social media handles at NTV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. That is on Twitter and on Facebook at NTV Kenya, and engage with us and just let us know how you're handling this holiday season and what you're doing to keep your child or your children engaged this holiday season. Of course, to help us drive the conversation, we have Delia Ipupa, who is a parent right here in studio. It's so good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Holiday season, how are you feeling? The spirits are high?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd say so.
Yes. Okay. All right. But of course, we'll also get to hear from you as a parent, and having your child at home.
Yeah.
For this month long, what's going to happen? How you're handling the situation?
Yeah.
At the same time. But we'll also have Amos Kaburu, who is an education analyst, joining us via Zoom. So Amos, it's so good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
Hi, Winnie. Long time.
I know.
I'm doing fine. And quite excited. Children at home, marathon 4 terms. Putting that at a better time.
Okay, you are excited, but there's some parents who are like, so what do we do with these children?
No. I'm super excited. I mean, you can't be closing school for 2 days. You're opening after 3 days. It's a good breather.
It's
for the first time, paying school fees on 5th of January. It's amazing.
Let's see how many parents share the same excitement as Amos has, and especially when it comes to the long break. And I'm just going to start with you, Amos. Yes, you have experienced or expressed how excited you are to have the learners at home, but then it's a good thing for the teachers because at least they get to catch a little bit of a break. But then again, for the parents, some parents are saying this is difficult. How do we keep these learners at home and stay out of trouble?
Winnie, only one word can summarize what this year has been.
Okay.
When? That is the only one that we
It's been crazy. Marathon. It's been crazy. Yeah.
It's been crazy. If you're a parent this year and you did feel the heat of what it is to be a parent, honestly, I just don't know where to give. I think in 2020, yes, in 2020, I was one of the few people who were like, no, please don't crash the term that much. We really going to struggle as parents, but I think few people are willing to listen to that. All in all, we stayed with our children at home for 9 months. We survived in a time when children even couldn't step out because of the stigma that came with COVID-19. And we survived. I really don't think that 2 months are going to be that too much for us. Honestly, we just needed some little time with our children. The reboot, it's been so tough. Receiving learning as if you're receiving KPLC tokens. Today is their own. No. I mean, let's stop a little bit of complaining a little bit and just sigh with some relief. But anyway, I know it can really be so tough on many parents. It's a tough time economically. But I think there's many things which you can really do with our children to adjust and just have fun and enjoy it. We've really made adulting to be such such a headache whereby you just in the administration and the logistics. What are we going to have for breakfast? You have bread. After that, you do this. Then lunch. You chamushagideri. I mean, honestly, let's step back a little bit. It's a good time. Learn for life. Just enjoy. I think it's really. I can't wait to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
It's just,
wow. Okay. Jelly, do you share the same excitement? I was like, wait, let the kids, be at home. And I can understand it's been a crazy year for both the parents and the learners. You closed for only a week and then you're back in school, the school fees. It's been marathon. It's been crazy. So do you share the same? It's like, what, now we get to catch a breather.
Well, not necessarily excited as him, but I think it's a well-deserved break.
Yeah.
Considering all that we've been through since the COVID times.
Yeah.
That time we were home, the kids were home, like basically everyone was at home.
Sure.
Simply because of the pandemic. So you can't leave the house, you can't do, it was literally a prison.
Sure.
This time, they're home because they need to rest.
They need to rest.
That's what I'm saying, it's a well-deserved break. This year has been a roller coaster. 4 terms in 1 year.
In 1 year, yeah.
Very little breaks, too many things to put in their minds. I mean, emotionally, financially, physically, it's been straining.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
it's a well-deserved break.
Yeah.
For both parents
and the learners. Okay.
Plus the teachers.
I mean, listen, it's, they have seen it all. And I can understand why Amos is very excited about this break. And it's a good thing to at least have the learners reset, enjoy, don't think about books, don't think about anything. And for the parents, don't think about school fees for at least, a month.
I don't know about not thinking about school fees.
You
because
still
you
think
have to
about
think about
it.
school fees.
Okay.
They're going back to school.
Yes.
So you cannot say you're not thinking about school fees.
But you're not as stressed.
Well,
you think about it, right?
Yes.
You think about it.
It's not like,
as compared to the week. Remember that 1 week where you have to think and make sure the finances are there and all those things.
No,
so
you're
catch a
still
break
thinking
a little
about
bit.
it,
Yes.
but not
as bad.
as urgent.
Yes. Oh, as urgent is the word. Urgent is the word. All right. So, Amos, for so many parents who are like, sawa, we get a break a little bit. From all the crazy that happened throughout the year. But there's also, I like what Delia says, listen, you still think about school fees. It's not like you're catching a break, completely, you don't think about school fees and all those things. But still, how then do they maneuver? Because fine, you're not thinking so much about the, or urgently about the school fees, but also these kids need to feed. These kids need attention, like almost all the time. In terms of maneuvering this, could you share the insights? Because you're very excited about this holiday. How, again, can parents make it a bit easier on themselves?
Let me finish by my excitement by saying that if I had a way, I would actually have set up a huge bouncing castle for parents at Uhuru Park, the refurbished one, just parents to jump to the bouncing castle. That's why I think what is most is really to recognize that yes, responsibilities are there. I totally agree with Delia. It's a question of it may not be that urgent, but it doesn't excuse us from our responsibilities. They are there. 23rd of January will come. I think it's a very bad time to open school. Maybe the only people who are people in the bank. Otherwise, those maybe those who earn every week. But I think for most parents, it will still be a difficult time. Tough times economically everywhere. Even the school fees had received some little cut from the public system has now gone back to what originally it was. We'll be walking to a year where grade 6 will not. Now we don't. If you are a grade 6 parent, you don't have to think about fee for a high school. You just didn't know what will happen and all that. But I think what is most critical is to expand this conversation beyond the education scope and begin to see how do we support parents in terms of developing skills around financial planning, and then also include our children in our financial planning, so that I think over time we've become overly a sensitive generation. And you talk about parents within my generation, those who now are children beginning to exit into high school, children are, turning in what now UNICEF calls the second decade. Those are now children who are 10 and such, and we're still too soft on them. We really don't involve them in terms of financial planning. But I think this is the perfect time to have this kind of family conversations. Put money on the table and say, I have 2,000 shillings, my children, how do we go about with it? Can we think of ideas of how we can do this one? We necessarily don't need to. I remember when I was a bit young, and maybe that time things were not as tough as they are right now. That time I could easily bundle my family. We would even take a road trip and drive around the whole of Tanzania. During holiday, you wouldn't mind spending 150,000. But COVID came, some of us lost our jobs, and it's been so tough. You're forced to really think of how to really survive. But you really see how your children are not that young as such. And just allow me to share one example that I had gone to pick my daughter from Nairobi to join me in some town in Western, and I was so much stressed because this generation are generation which were on phones, and I was like, Mom, I don't have, we are the generation that calls our children kamami. So I have my phone, and then my 9-year-old is like, no, Dad, don't worry about it. I think I carried my book, I can read my book. And my daughter never gave me any hard time. She read her book from Nairobi all the way to Kakamega. And when we reached, we only had 400 shillings, and I told her, Mom, I'm going to buy for you food. She's like, no, you don't have to do that. Let's just buy one plate of food, then we share. I mean, I was so shocked of how such a young child will have such high levels of emotional intelligence. So I think the whole point is that we can expand conversations in our own households, so that we really don't think that children are just recipients of instructions, but we can co-create this December or this long festive time with them. What do you think about how we can spend this week? Sit down together, maybe the first 1 week, say indoors, we can do this and that. We can create some low-cost kind of excursion, just go out. We don't need so much. It can just be a banana with a boiled egg, and all of us sit on our Masai shukas or whatever we have, and we enjoy a good afternoon together. It doesn't necessarily have to be a very, very expensive holiday. And including them really in this broad scheme of things, I think this is really the time when we need to have a lot of conversations in our own families. Religious, through our fora, churches and mosques, I think will also do a lot in terms of also reducing that kind of pressure. Looking at people who are now creating those expensive programs, please, let's not just use this opportunity as again another opportunity to mince money from parents, but really see how support. But the whole discussion around financial planning is very, very critical, but involving children early as now, it's very, very helpful. So make the best out of such a difficult time. It really doesn't have to mean that we die just because they are very, very difficult time.
And it's interesting you say that, because just recently we were having a conversation on, I think, World Children's Day, and we had a child here on set, and he said, listen, for a long time parents were always just giving instructions, whatever the parent says goes, but how about we change that and involve the children, even in the planning, of the holidays, for example, our finances, what we're doing as a family, and have the children also contribute to this, which I think is interesting. But on the practicality of the same daily, how do you see this panning out?
It's very possible. Because it's something I personally practice.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right.
For example, if it's shopping, say, hey, this is how much we have.
All right.
So what do we do? Before I continue, Amos is organizing for that big bouncing castle.
Yes.
Can he add a trampoline there?
Right? No, really, parents deserve it. Parents really, really deserve it.
So it's more of involving the kids in literally everything. And I'm glad it's something I started practicing.
Way earlier.
Way earlier.
All right.
Sometimes it works, but I think the more you do it, the more it gets better. Because now they're at home. It's not like when we were little, you'll be told, "Oh, utavaa."
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah, there's no room for no.
You see now, these kids now, you can't tell them.
Like, so ask you why.
We'd go to a restaurant and my mom has already ordered for you guys. So you don't have, utakula.
It's like your life has already been decided
I shall decide. Kesho utaamka uende kanisani, hivyo basi. But now you have to ask the mama, what do you think? Tomorrow, which I need to work on that going to church thing. I'm not so good at it. So you have to ask her, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you feel like, it isn't obvious that she's going to come, like, I'm leaving, do you want to come with me? You have to ask them, say ati njoo twende. Atakwambia, no, I want to stay in the house. So it's more about involving them, and it's very, very much possible. And I loved what Amos said about the financial bit of it. I'll give you an example. The other day, my daughter was going for a trip. So she asked, I need 1,000 shillings. I said, fine. And she came back with literally nothing.
Okay.
So I asked her, how do you tell me you've spent, yani hata shilingi moja hujabakisha? Umefanya nini pesa? Au kufikiria? Then she came home and asked me, oh ma'am, tomorrow I need this for school. So I said, did you not think you'll need that for school tomorrow? So these are things that we need to tell them. They need to know. You know, fine, you've been given money for a trip. Tomorrow, I might need milk. We've run out of milk. This is something I always remind her. Check the fridge. You know you're going to school tomorrow. You'll need water. You'll need this. Do you have this?
Some sense of responsibility.
I can't think about everything all the time.
That's true. And involving them, you know, someone was saying, the more, I mean, the child, you know, who was here said, the more they feel involved, the more they lessen the pressure in terms of, I need this, I want this, because now they understand the situation at home, they understand the financial situation, so they might not be, you know, as demanding as if they don't know what exactly is happening around the house. And I felt, I mean, times are changing. How about also changing the way we parent? But that question of responsibility and assigning responsibility to the children, Amos, majority of them will say, listen, tumetoka shule, school has been very difficult, just give us a break. We don't want to do nothing. We just want to, you know, chill around. How do we do that? Because the parents deserve a break too.
I think it is becoming increasingly challenging that we are raising a generation which is very, very responsible. So I have this about 8 nieces and nephews. And these guys, I planted sugarcane on my farm. And these guys literally put 1 acre of sugarcane on my farm. They just leave school, go to the center, wanaanza kutandika miwa. Jamaa wakakula miwa yangu mpaka wakamaliza. So these guys were then sent away from school, so I was again forced to intervene to send them back to school. Of course, I was so mad and fast. So I thought of what can I do, and working in the background of research, I do a lot of call action research. So you identify a problem, then you jointly seek for solution. So I sat down with them and I was asking, you see, you people leave your animals, they are wanaenda wanakula, I mean, they are all over, mnachukua chakula, mnadadika laini kwa nyumba yangu. So we began some conversation. How can we make this home to be very friendly and therefore it works for everyone? So the idea continued and the conversation continued, and out of it they told me, you know what, Uncle, I think we can do things a bit differently. You know, they are ranging from the age of 10 to around 16. So like we do these things differently. How about if we plant Napier so that the animals don't have problems, and then we can have designated places where we can do certain things. Are you able to facilitate us with some little fund capital? And you know, I was trying to drive the conversation, but then it's them bringing out the ideas, and out of it, the leadership emerged. They chose as a leader. They all of them were now saying, unajua wewe Kabu, wewe ndio ulikuwa unaongoza watu wengine kukula miwa yangu Amos, na unajua sisi wote ni wabaya. So they began disclosing all that. The whole thing I'm putting across is that this idea of responsibility teaching, it's not a boardroom kind of affair. If you think about responsibility, it is something that you need to look at a model of how you introduce it to them at their own level. That you're not coming along with this sophistication of this is now the job description, now there will be a chairperson over here, and this will be your functions, you have to call for 2 meetings in a week. I think it doesn't work that way. We have to really think of how do we support adults to develop simple models of how to support children to begin taking responsibility. Because we've normalized so many wrong things that simple things children couldn't just pick them up. So at that point, to me, the spaces which are social, churches, whatever, something really needs to happen around just looking at how do we support parents to develop models of how children can be supported to become responsible, and like during this particular time, a field which is somewhere, let's open it up for our children to use. Because actually the most unfortunate thing, especially for parents living in urban areas, is that children don't even have a space where they can play. We have literally grabbed every space. There are no more green spaces. Even the small gardens which will be there, we've converted them into cabros, so even the children can't play. It is so chaotic. But really we can have a lot of conversation in terms of what can we do to support particularly adults to help children to become more responsible.
Yeah. All right, and of course that is a skill that maybe it will be important, you know, for everybody to learn, because sometimes we think some things are natural, but really most of the time they're not. All right, how about we take a break? But of course, when we come back, we'd want to understand. So fine, they are at home. It is important to sort of like teach them some sense of responsibility. Another group of people saying, listen, we need tuition, but then again, we all know, you know, the Ministry of Education, actually, Section 29 of the Basic Education Act says, you know, or prohibits tuition, right? So then what do we do? Where do we take these children, you know, even as we, you know, teach them some sense of responsibility, even as they rest during this long holiday? So we're coming back with that conversation, but of course what we're asking you is, what are you doing to keep your children engaged, and how are you handling this, you know, long holiday season? I can see Zima on Twitter says, I'll switch off my TV. Will that help? Okay, we wait to see. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more right here on Your World. Stay with us.
Karibuni sana, karibuni. Niwauzie?
Ugali matumbo batia mimi.
Ugali matumbo! Na wewe?
Ipe wali maragwe.
Wali? Hey! Wewe, mchele madando hapo!
Nilikuwa nataka kaomena na kadoma.
Customer, usijali, chakula yako tutakutengenezea kwa ajili yako tu.
Maisha yako, mapendeleo yako. Tunukiwa na Safaricom. Chagua bei yako ya kupiga simu au data. Piga *444# au utembelee My Safaricom app upate deal poa ya kupiga simu. Uongee zaidi au ubrowse zaidi.
Nataka chapati na crips.
Mala sausage.
Nataka ugali na
Need a fast, smooth shave? Introducing new Big Flex 2 with 2 flexible blades. For a smoother shave, easier to rinse.
1 cappuccino heavy on the foam. And for the lady,
I think you got all the foam you need.
New Big Flex 2 for a faster, smoother shave.
pewa change yako. Bado maziko ndaja nipea change bado. Kuna change yangu 50 bob. Mimi nimempea dawa nafaa kunirudishia so 9. Wewe conductor change.
Nani huyo ati change?
Konda hujanipea change yangu ya chwani wewe. Hata mimi nimekupea dawa hujanipea change. Cheki hujanipea change na amehang hivyo dangerous. Sasa imagine akinia na change yako ama agongwe na gari. Wewe conductor mazee buji linda tafadhali uko na change yangu.
Change gani? Wewe wachwani niko na change yako najua.
Mimi nimekupea dawa.
Hujanipea yeye ni buda. Unadhani nimechi?
Cheki nimekupea dawa nikiingia mazee.
Labda conductor mwingine sio mimi bro.
Ndio maana mimi upe na pesa kidogo kwa matu. Wewe donda mazee nimekupea dawa nikiingia. Tafadhali acha ukora mazee.
Wewe wacha ukora buda sawa?
Conductor kukatalia change. Dial *811*928#. Skiza.
Roman was here earlier. He was asking questions about Gabriel. What? All we need is to make Gabriel disappear.
You better watch yourself, Derek.
No, what the heck did I do to you?
Come on, don't play innocent with me, Derek. You've been teasing Gabriel and me a lot, all right? Don't forget I'm still your boss.
Sorry, I just can't help it.
And why not?
Forever my love.
Go is about thriving, reaching for the stars. It's about exploring new ideas, securely and safely, from the palm of your hands. It's go time with M-Pesa Go.
All right, welcome back. Glad to see with us. The show is Your World, and today it's all about the long holidays. Is it a blessing or is it a headache? All right, for so many parents, if you are like Amos here, he's all over the moon. The kids are at home. He's a happy person. Says the parents also get to catch a little bit of a breather, given how the year has been. It's been crazy, very short periods of, closing schools, and then learners have to go back to school, and then there's school fees, and then there's exams, and then it was madness. All right, so now that they have a little bit of a breather, how do you keep them engaged at home? Because having the learners at home also, there's a huge risk when it comes, and especially talking about teenage pregnancies. For example, in Narok, the Narok Education Department actually revealed that at least 741 schoolgirls, were pregnant in the county, and of course 248 actually sat for their national, examinations. So there's that question of, so how do we keep them supervised, but also give them some sense of freedom, but also it's a bit of a difficult time, for all the parents. So what we're asking you today is, how are you keeping your children or your child engaged this holiday season? One person just said they're going to switch off their TVs, all right? And then presenter Billy says parents should introduce tuition soon as their children learn from home. He is from Baringo. Thank you very much for that. So, let's get to hear what more you have to say as far as the question, and that is, what are you doing to keep your learners at home? Odhiambo Brian Jr. says, divided reactions on parents. Blessings to those parents who teach their kids to invest rather than those who invested for their kids. Headache, the two parents are so different, all right? And then someone else says, Winnie Paul says, blessings. I spend most of the time bonding with them, all right? And then someone else says, this is Kucho Isaac Tor, says, blessings. But the only problem is I have iskelele mingi. Unatoka job on the night shift, you need to have rest and take a sleep, lakini wapi. All right? And then someone else says, this is Kamau Wangeshi says, number 1, kukana maid. Number 2, watch cartoon. Number 3, watch movie. Number 4, cheza PS. Number 5, kalongo ya ajabu. Number 6, ushago hawataki. Okay. All right, and let's get to hear what someone else had to say. All right, okay. So we'll sample more as we continue with the conversation. But Amos, I just want to pick your brain, especially from the last conversation. We wamesema wataki kwenda ushago, wanataka tu kucheza na PS, watch movies all day long. What do you say? What do you say?
I think all these things are very, very seasonal.
Okay. All right.
They are very, very seasonal. Personally, I don't see any offense in children doing all those manner of things. That's what their age allows.
Okay.
I think there's a time when we did grow up, some of us grew up in the village, so we didn't have screens. So we had to go and store at a neighbor's place just to at least watch news and see. But over time, one of the things we thought when we'll get money was to buy screens. And I remember when smart TVs arrived, some of us, I can't imagine that I bought a 40-inch screen for 150,000. Now that you see them going for 26,000, you're like, wait, you really can't fight technology. I think the whole point is just a phase in their life, and they've come a lot of pressure. I really don't think that it would be nice for us to criminalize children engaging in the technology. And a little bit moment of this. There are sometimes when I'll also go to watch movies and I'll be struggling. Why have they put this meeting at 8 a.m.? I just want to be on Netflix, finish the meeting, look very, very official, then dash back to watch another episode. I think it's very, very, whatever goes on in our lives as adults equally goes on through the lives of children. They really can't be so focused from morning all the way to evening. But I think it's a question of teaching them what is about limits. You can watch television up to a particular point in time. What are these favorite programs that you can't do without? And they will be able to listen, say 1, 2, 3, 4. This ones we can do. Then you can plug in what is the remaining bits of time. We're able to attach children thrive well under routine, so it doesn't kill. For instance, for me, anytime my daughter is at home, it's her responsibility to wash breakfast utensils, and she has to do it. It doesn't matter whatever will be happening, she just has to do it. So it's part of just supporting them to develop that particular routine and such. But I think this craze where I'm talking about switch off television, I don't think that we are helping children as such. I think TV is such a powerful learning tool that has really been underestimated. And if you even look at the kind of animation programs which are there, I found them to be extremely powerful in terms of supporting children to be very creative, in terms of supporting children to be super intelligent. I mean, of course, intelligence, you're born with it, but just in terms of exposure, it does a lot. Because I'll tell you, Winnie, that as an adult, you come to realize that you don't need so much. And I remember spending some little time with Manu Changari a few years ago, and he was saying, young man, you only need a few things in life. You need to know how to speak good English and have good manners. That one will help you a lot. But you see, now later on, I had a lot of time to reflect on what you were saying. And I realized that you actually need two skills in life. You need intelligence, and you need, not two skills, you need two things in life. You need intelligence, and then you need exposure. Because intelligence will help you to identify where opportunities are. I mean, exposure will help you to identify where opportunities are. But it's the intelligence which will help you to access those opportunities. But when you combine intelligence and exposure, they will determine how long you will stay with the opportunity. So I don't think that in this time and era, it's quite appropriate for us to really limit them. Now, this conversation around visiting villages, I think is very, very critical for children, particularly to connect with their own roots. I am one person who strongly believes in it. And my daughter will stay with the village. She comes on and say, you know, at Coco's place, they take a lot of ugali. You know, my grandmother and she schools close, you must travel to the village, you must go to Kakamega and eat a lot of ugali. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
But the question is, but the question is, even taking them, you know, to shags, people would say, listen, the high cost of living, hatuna hata pesa kufanya out to buy our own food, right? Let alone taking the kids, you know, to shags. Because when you also take them there, you also have to make sure that there is, you know, there's enough food for them as well. So it's a bit of a, it's difficult, you know. It's like choose your struggle. Which one? Which one would you rather?
Not again. People in the village are not. You know, in the village you can even stay with 200 shillings in a week because it's not a highly cash economy the way cities would be. But I think the most important thing is that give them an opportunity. Don't be too overprotective.
Yeah.
Calling every time. Hapana, mtoto alikuwa anaendesha kuku akaanguka chini. No. Give them to stay there. Don't call every day. Wacha waflo na rieng. It is okay. After all, most of us will be, that's when we married. So don't be too overprotective. Give them an opportunity to go and experience life. If you can afford. Can't afford, stay with them because also some people may not be having villages and such, or they don't have somebody to take care of them over. So what works for you, please. The whole point is that don't just be too overprotective of the children. Child. Also to give them an opportunity to experience childhood in its natural form without being this parent who is a very, very mean. Don't be too restrictive.
Mtoto alianguka na kuku okay, sawa. So Delia, of course we were talking about this during the break, and that is in terms of limits and balance. And we said sometimes children can be very manipulative, you know, and especially when they need something, and that's something more so when it comes to their screen time. So the question is, how then do we balance? Because you do not want to deny them, because again, like Amos is saying, they learn a lot, you know, from the cartoons and you know, the movies that they watch, and the educational content that is, you know, on TV. But also balancing that, not to have them stay in the house the entire day, you know, a few
exactly,
So that balancing, what works for you at home?
First, I'd say, you mentioned earlier that people now, like, maybe kids or parents who just want to take a break. But there's no break to this life as long as you're alive, you know? So it goes on, probably not at the highest speed that it was, but it's kidogo sasa. So, again, there's no particular model and you know, hii ndio tutafuata, hii ndio tutafuata.
Yeah.
It goes different with different families, different homestays, different how
Yeah.
they are. Unaelewa? So they're the basics zenye ziko. For example, too much of everything pia is
it's not good. Yeah.
So I'd say ask them, now you're on holiday. Could you, in simpler terms, make a timetable?
All right.
You also don't want them to overdo things, like you said.
Yeah.
Make a timetable. Ukiamka utafanya nini? Hivi na hivi na hivi. I'd like you to do this. This will be your area. Yeah? Are you comfortable enough to do this? Is this something that can happen?
Okay.
So you're actually having a conversation with them.
Okay.
Like Amos said, when you're speaking to kids, you have to be on
Go
their
to
level.
their level.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And not everyone, intelligence you're born with, and not everyone is as intelligent. So you could be dealing with a 12-year-old. The same way you'll deal with one is not the same way you'll deal with another.
Yeah.
So it's always, you're always thinking of ways and better ways of doing things. So it's Shags.
All right.
My daughter loves the village.
Yeah.
To her, that's like a holiday.
Yeah.
She loves it.
I mean, it
and
really
in the
is.
beginning,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because both my parents, thank God, they're still alive and they're in the village. And she loves it there.
Yeah.
And she's close to them.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was thinking, no, you know, but...
Kumnachunga mtoto sicheze
Ah,
na kuku
sianguke na
kukuta buma.
There's one thing someone very close to me once told me. That's your child, fine, but set them free.
Yes.
Don't be like, I think my dad in particular was very much overprotective.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like, I wouldn't say anything like sijui sleepover, sijui I want to go here. My dad would be like, no. No.
Yeah.
So again, there's too much of everything. You have to balance.
Yeah.
I know some parents will say, oh, no sleepovers, no nothing. But I mean, look at it this way. Fine, I said you will not, for example, have this thing that you wanted. But then again, you sit down with them and try and reason with them and think, maybe I'll change my mind. I said you'll not go for a sleepover, this and that.
Yeah.
So just engage them
Have
in
a conversation
yes,
instead of talking to them and making
in different
all the rules.
activities
Yeah.
in the house and outside the house. I mean, basically, involve them in everything you're doing. As a parent, you know, you have to now.
Yeah.
And every other day, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, evolve them, pick their brain, see what they feel, and all those things. Someone was saying also creates, you know, a really beautiful bond between the parent and the child, because now you're not operating from a point of, you know, authority and you have to do what I say. But, you know, when you have that leverage, it's easier for them to, you know.
Sorry to even interrupt you. On that bonding time, it's also crazy because sometimes you just want to sit with her and talk. My daughter loves talking.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm doing something, maybe I'm cooking. Mom, I'm like, Mom, she's like,
like, Mama, like 500 times in a day.
So I have to remind myself, all the time, like, a million moms have, yes, Mama, what is it? Yes, what is it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to bond with her, she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So bonding also, it's not necessarily asking for permission, but hey, a conversation. Do you think, like he said, it's not a boardroom type of thing, but say, what do you think we watch a movie tomorrow? Maybe bonding at home is not working. Let's do dinner. Let's do lunch. When we go for dinner, no phones. Because sometimes you go for dinner and
everybody's on their phone. Yeah.
When you order, no, I'm checking the menu. No. We leave our phones and you just sit and listen.
And have a quality time together.
So all she wants sometimes is just for me to listen.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there and actively listening. Not that I'm on phone and she's just talking. Mom, are you listening? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And again, and I like what you said. Everything, I mean, things work differently for different people and different families. So, you know, do what works for you. That is also a bit friendly to the pocket, because like we said, things are difficult right now, you know, and we just have to balance, because at the end of the day, come January, you will still need to, you know, school fees is there, the books are there, and all those things. I've seen some parents actually planning early, and most of them actually buying books now, because, you know, they're less expensive as, you know, January would be. So again, you do what works for you as a parent, and early planning and all those things.
For us CBC parents,
CBC,
we can't start buying books now because we don't know.
CBC is a whole different topic.
But for those ones who can, this is the best time. But uniforms and all. But then again, you could buy uniforms now. Come January, they don't fit. So
that's true. As you buy like
two times.
Just save some. Or just be creative with your finances. All right. And then, Amos, there's the whole question about tuition, right? And someone said right here that, you know, you take or introduce tuition to your child, but then again, you know, it was banned. We don't know. Parents are like, so then what do we do? And especially with the teenagers, you know, and for the girls, you know, the whole risk about teenage pregnancy. We saw this happen during the 9-month break. Even for the boys, most of them started their own businesses and all those things. And they go back to school and you have to, you know, have them sit the whole day. They were used to making money, you know, during the day. So then what do we do? And especially for the teenagers during this holiday.
Thank you. First of all, the statistics around the COVID-19 and teenage pregnancy and all those kind of things, they were not astronomical. To be very honest, if you look at the marginal increase, I mean, if you look at the increase, it's very, very marginal. So we wouldn't really attribute it to that. Number two, children went back to school after 9 months. They still passed exams. They didn't fail. So I think also sometimes we also fear too much. Oh, children will forget. What is so big about if they forget the formula of sodium chloride plus whatever you get, sodium, whatever it is what is sold. There's nothing too big about that. I think this is where certain tenets within CBC become very critical. And perhaps we'll mention like two. One of them is parental engagement and empowerment, and the second one is service line. This will actually be the perfect time to really just see how some of these things will be able to unfold. I mean, if you look at something such as the circus we used to be treated to, you see children cleaning markets and all those kind of things. This will actually now be the perfect time. We'll see children cleaning churches. We will see them participating in, I mean, just making villages and hamlets a little bit more happy. But you see, sometimes we've got gaps in terms of how we design our curriculum. But if really we are done so well, these are some of the opportunities. But nothing stops us from doing that. I mean, what is stopping your church? Most of us, we very, very religious, if not spiritual. We are very, very religious. We can have this conversation and just see what can we do in terms of getting our children involved. I am a strong opponent of this craze and this around tuition and asking children to do so many things. I mean, they are completely irrelevant. Children have so much that needs to be done. They have so much that needs to be done. They need to be taken through ideating of, I mean, different business ideas and incubation, have sober conversation, developing family cultures, like those things that Delia is mentioning. If you have what Albert Einstein called the generation of idiots, where everyone is glued on their devices, they are laughing with people who are far away, but they can't just connect with people who are next to them. I think that is very difficult. But there are two things just also tied to this that I want to mention now that I also know that we also almost coming to the tail end of this conversation. And one of it is, as parents, let's not deny our children an opportunity to live as children. Because, you know, many of us, we're still trapped in the kind of things that we did or the kind of things that we didn't do when we were children. So we're raising our children also with a lot of mentality of what was. My father was too restrictive, therefore I don't want to be restrictive. Or my father was too democratic, I don't want to apply the same. And so we are still trapped in all those kind of experience. Therefore, letting go, and as you struggle, I mean, just have that girl who is standing 10 and I'm like, what word does it wait for her? And I'm looking at the changes around her and the kind of conversation she was now begin having her own space and all those kind of things. What does it mean? So let's not deny really our children an opportunity in terms of growth. Sitting in support groups, discussing the kind of conversation that we are now having even within our WhatsApp groups. I think it's important just to confront some of these issue, speaking to those who have been there before, this big conversation around technology is very, very critical. Our children are going to live with technology. It's not going to go away from them. It's going to be there. So the only thing we have now to do is to see how we can make technology to work for them, technology to be an enabler, technology to be a facilitator, as opposed to looking at technology as an abhorrent technology to be a distraction to our life, to our lives. One thing I want to mention is that even during this particular time, let us protect our children. There are so many forces that are really out there conscience is not part of everyone. I don't want people to end up misquoting that NTV brought someone who is wild in terms of being too liberal. But the whole point is that have so many people who will do anything really to mess up the lives of our children. And so whether it is physical protection, we have to do it. You must know where your children are going. Don't leave your children have to walk alone, even if they are teenagers. Have this conversation in terms of what is important to them. Because you see, you really don't know who they are going to come across. There are people who could be out there just to harm them physically, and anything can happen to your children, whether it is a boy, whether it's a girl, at whatever age. So don't just assume. If you have got anything in your mind, a gut feeling that makes you believe that your children are not safe, please do anything, because that is the primary responsibility of a parent. Protect your children emotionally, protect your children psychologically, whatever it takes. We really must protect our children. And this online conversation that we are having, if you can do anything for young children, please don't just leave mobile phones in their hands whereby it goes unmonitored. Please teach your children the responsibility of what it means to be around technology. What does it mean? Let's use it as appropriate devices. What and what? Let them go out, release that energy that they have, because these guys are extremely energetic. They're extremely energetic. So whatever it takes, let them jump all over. It is a good thing. But I'm not a believer of these kind of things that schools are closed. Now there's a whole chemistry that needs to be done, reading esophagus and spelling 150 words. I really don't think that is that necessary. It's necessary. Please. Wacha mambo ya shule kibaki shule. Sasa hii ni masomo ya nyumbani bwana. Usiue watoto sana.
Okay. Delia, do you share the same? Because someone was actually saying that, you know, this whole aspect about private tuition, yeah? It's a form of escapism, especially for the parents, because now, mezoea watoto wako shule all the time, so you don't really stress much about wanasoma ama hawasomi, right? Yeah. Now they're home. Most parents are thinking, you know what, we'll just hire a private tutor, you know, with some sort of like homework, quote unquote, because they can't, again, spend too much time on TV and all those things. Bado lazima warudi wakasome kidogo. What do you feel? Amos is like, mambo ya shule, ibaki shule.
I agree with Amos, because first and foremost, the teachers, they do a great job. Yeah. Because they spend most of the times with our kids. They know a lot about our kids. Some of those things we don't even know. Sure. So when it's, especially now, it's time for holiday, I think they should just do many other activities. All right. Like I always tell my daughter, the internet is a great place, but also a very dangerous place. Yeah. Amos talked about protecting our kids. Protect them at all costs, even on the internet. I know some people say I'm an overboard mom, I'm an extra mom, but I want to know who's on that phone book. I want to know who you're texting. I want to know which app you have. I will go through your phone at any point. Okay. I need to know. Because, privacy. Fine, you could think your child is safe at home, in her room, or in his room, doing their own things. You don't know who they're in touch with. Again, the internet is a great place, but also a very dangerous place. Yeah. So, protecting them, that happens all the time. But now more than ever, we need to do that. We need to do that. So, all right. Yeah.
Even as we compile, and I'll be looking at some of the feedback as far as the question, that is what you're doing to keep your children or your child engaged during the season, how you're handling the holiday season. Are you running mad now because of kelele mingi, like someone said, or are you enjoying the time with your children at home, right? With your children. I'm reading your feedback very quickly, but for now, Delia, let me start with you. Just bring this to a close. We must also not forget that we also have some children who are, you know, staying in an unsafe environment. You know, there's a lot of violence at home and they don't know what to do, who to turn to, you know, and all those things. So what would you say as far as just protecting the children? Because that whole aspect about community and raising our children, you know, in a communal way, we don't see that much now. Everybody's just minding their business. So what would you say, and especially for those children who are exposed to, you know, violence and all those things? And for the parents also planning for next year when they go back to school?
It's sad. I mean, it's sad for a child to go through such situations, especially in our country where, I mean, first world, you can't do the social services. They'll come at you.
Oh, yeah.
It's I wouldn't know what to say to I mean about that. It just makes me so sad because they don't know where to turn to.
Yeah.
Polisi, nyumbani, shuleni, nani. So
it's difficult.
It's difficult. About next year is coming.
Yep. Yeah.
And we have to face it. And we pray to God to fike salama. And we do our things. I mean, there's no, at least have a structure.
Yeah.
The basics.
Plan at the very least. Yeah. Plan for the thing.
Yeah. So it's just planning and praying that it all goes well.
It will. It will. It will. All right. Thank you, Delia. And of course, Amos, for you as well, you know, protecting our children, also understanding that not, you know, all children actually are in safe environments. Some, you know, actually don't even have a home. In the first place, and others are exposed to violence and, you know, all these forms of injustices that, again, a child might be exposed to. So what would you say to that? Some of the policies that also need to be, you know, enforced and implemented, especially when it comes to protecting the child and also making sure that children get access to quality education, and also for the parents in terms of preparing, because like Delia says, next year is coming. It's coming very fast. You do not want to be caught, you know, off guard as far as taking your children back to school.
First of all, I would say that Kenyans are amazing people. Even in places where we think that things are so bad, there are so many good people. There are so many good people. And maybe sometimes we focus so much on what is not working and also forgotten about what is working. Let's also train ourselves to look at what is so good. And I've just realized that there are many heroes and heroines who go uncelebrated. And as Desiderata says, if you focus onto that, you realize that life is full of heroism. I think we're just coming with my daughter, we were driving around, Karen almost crashing. And I looked at how people came just to help us get out of the ditch, trying to push our car. And of course, my daughter is like, you know, my dad is such a rough driver. I wish it was my mom who was driving. But just look at how people are coming in just to help us out. I think it's a moment. Let's not forget to sing for them, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad. I mean, whatever it takes.
Okay.
Make it right. Nunua hiyo spota kubwa na mkate ya buffalo. Kula, celebrate. It doesn't really have to be so big. Okay. I have one friend who spread kindness like confetti.
That's true.
Can spread kindness like confetti to one more than two other people. If you realize that you are in an environment where there are only bad people, please be the good person. Just be the good person. That is what the world is. You may be one person to you may think that you are just one person to one person, but you may actually be a world to that particular person. Please spread kindness in the festive season, whatever it can take, 200 shillings, 300 shillings. Let us just celebrate the joy of being together. Because as I did say when I started, we should also be my parting shot. This year, what?
Okay, thank you very much. It was Kaburi Education Analyst and Delia Pupa, who's a parent. Thank you very much. Such a fun conversation. But also not forgetting what, you know, we can, as parents, what we can do to help one another raising the kids, but also give the kids a break, but also the parent as well, take a break and breathe, you know, even as we plan for next year. So thank you very much to both of you. Should we go through like one or two feedback before we conclude? And that is the question that we asked you, and that is, what are you doing to sort of like protect, I mean, your children and keep them engaged? Caster Judy says, I mean, it's a blessing. We learn new things, more time to bond and create those memories. And then someone else says, this is Vincent RC, says, hey, what's a headache when they have been on a crash program for the last 2 years, all right? So we just give them a break. I see you. And then someone actually says, mimi wangu akiamka kunywa chai akimaliza ni kucheza hadi saa 7 and then anakujia lunch after hapo tena kurudi saa 1 anakuja kama amechoka na amejichafua, anaoga, anakula, then sasa analala. All right, give them a break. It's a good thing. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us until the end of the conversation. Delia and Emos, thank you very much to you. And yeah, if you are a parent, again, catch a breather. If you are a learner watching us, catch a breather as well. It's the holiday season. Let's sing Feliz Navidad and enjoy the holidays. So we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe and God bless. Goodbye.